Welcome to the Shootin' Show. Stand by for shots fired.
Well, hello. I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of the Shootin' Show. And you know, friends, you'll notice that we're indoors for this opening of our program today, and there's a reason for it. We have Tropical Storm Arlene, which today and the last few days has dumped about 15 inches of rain on us here in northwest Louisiana. So we're going to do just a little bit indoors today. But we're so happy to have you. We appreciate so much the responses we got from around the country on last week's program for our video. We really do appreciate you folks calling and writing to us. People have been so nice. And let me remind you right now, go on and get a pencil and a piece of paper, because we're going to have some things that you're going to need to write down later on in the program. So we have some great features for you today. We have some footage of the 1993 end of trail match. We're going back to the National Tactical Invitational match with Kurt Vickers. I think you're really going to enjoy today's program. So, as I like to say, without further ado, let's let another shooting show begin. Now, friends, at the beginning of our program today, we're going to take a look at 3 revolvers and 3 revolver cartridges, because we get all kinds of correspondence, either by telephone or by mail, every week on the different Magnum chambering. So what we're going to do briefly here today, we're going to look at the 3 most common Magnum revolver cartridges, and we're going to talk just a little bit about what they're good for. I have our basic 686 Smith & Wesson and 357 Magnum here, and then we'll move up a step. We have the model 57 Smith & Wesson 41 Magnum, and also we have a model 629 Smith & Wesson in 44 Magnum. So there's a lot of information out there. People talk a lot about what these different calibers are good for, so we're going to touch on that just for a moment today, because we do get a lot of mail, people saying, well, what's a good hunting caliber, or is this caliber, this cartridge big enough for deer or coyotes or whatever else, or what about for home defense? So we're going to take just a look at that for just a moment. You know, the 3 cartridges, let's see if we can get a close-up on these 3 cartridges here, if I can hold them halfway straight, like so. We'll get it right in just a minute. Now then, here we go. Now, the cartridge on your right is a 357 Magnum silver tip. The cartridge in the middle is a 41 Magnum silver tip, and then the cartridge on the other side there, on your left, is a 44 Magnum. In fact, that's a Federal jacketed hollow point. I just don't happen to have a 44 Magnum silver tip handy at the moment. But you can see there's a good bit of difference in the size of these 3 cartridges. The 357 is in fact 357 thousandths in diameter. The 41 Magnum is a true 410 thousandths, and the 44 Magnum here is in fact 429 thousandths. And I suppose 44 comes from probably the black powder nomenclature there, an old black powder term for the size of the hole in one of the black powder revolver cylinders. To tell you the truth, I really don't know, but the 44 is in fact closer to a 43. But anyway, these are vastly different cartridges on what they do. All 3 of them at the maximum loadings operate at pretty much the same pressures, pretty similar pressures, but the diameter is what certainly will let you use a larger bullet weight, certainly a heavier bullet for different things. Your 357 Magnum, the silver tip here, will typically run out of this 4-inch 686 about 1,350 feet per second. The silver tip is a little heavier. It's about 145 grains or so, whereas your most popular loading now in the 357 tends to be the 125 grain jacketed hollow point, running about 1,450 feet per second. The standard loading, which used to be the most common, was the 158 grain bullet, moving at about 1,235 feet per second. But really, for home defense, the 357 is right at the top of the list now, due to the bullet construction, due to the velocity of that 1,450 feet per second. But an interesting point I'll pass along to you, all of these guns, even though there's quite a bit of difference in actual cartridge size, all of them are about as loud as the others. They're all extremely loud. We never recommend shooting these Magnum revolvers without hearing protection. You know, if you shoot say a 45 or something like that, a lower pressure cartridge indoors, it's not going to just destroy your hearing. But believe me, if you shoot one of these Magnum revolvers, and this is a thought for someone using one of these guns for home defense, it is going to be loud if you have to shoot it inside your house. The noise will not be the primary concern at the time, of course, but they are extremely loud. In fact, I feel like the 357 makes a sharper sound, say, even than the 44, because one, the hole is the hole is smaller, and it just seems to be a more piercing, a higher pitch sound than the 44. I can deal with 44 Magnum noise a little easier than I can with a 357, in fact. But these are all excellent guns. The three guns, of course, we have today are from Smith & Wesson, and they just do different things. The 686 is on an L frame, which is really between the large N frame here, which our 41 Magnum is on. It's between that and the 38 Special frame, which is called a K frame as far as Smith & Wesson goes, for your most common 38 or 357 chamber size gun anyway. Your L frame was designed to make the 357 Magnum a little more rugged, so it would stand up to constant use of these high-powered loads that more and more people are beginning to shoot. Tell you the truth, my personal favorite of the three guns is in fact the 41 Magnum, because even though you don't have a cartridge in the 357, you can shoot the 38 Specials, you can download it for practice or certainly for home defense. In the 44 Magnum, you can back down to 44 Specials, which is a much milder load. You really don't have a real mild load for the 41 Magnum, but it does so many things extremely well. The 41 Magnum will run typically a 170 or 75 grain bullet at about the same speed that the 357 runs a 125 grain bullet. And of course the 44 Magnum will run a 180 grain bullet about as fast or a little faster than the 170 grain bullet in the 41. They're just different things. The 41, in fact, is maybe the ultimate, certainly as good a home defense gun with the 170, 75 grain silver tip. The recoil is not nearly as violent, say, as the 44 Magnum, but your power is quite a bit more than the 357. So I would think, really, for most people, and it's really a shame the 41 Magnum is so often overlooked, because it will do almost everything that a 44 Magnum will, yet it has certainly, when it's backed down a little bit, say in the silver tips, which is more a 3/4 intensity load, it becomes very manageable for the average person to shoot. And there is also a lead bullet loading for the 41, which drops back about a 200 or so grain bullet, 210 grain bullet at about 950 or 1,000 feet per second. That's milder still, which is an awfully good self-defense load. My own personal feeling about why the 41 Magnum never became a really popular police caliber is that these are large guns. They're simply heavy, and if you put one of these on your hip in a belt holster, if you're not careful, it's gonna pull your pants down. And I think that's probably more reason, because these guns really, with the police loading, that lead bullet loading, even with silver tips, the recoil is really not very ferocious at all, and I think can be handled by a lot of people. The Model 58, which was the fixed sight version of the 57, was as fine a defensive weapon as I can imagine, but I think that it just was a little bit heavy for the average person to carry around, and that's my own personal feeling. But as far as really the ultimate or the ultimate compromise caliber, I think the 41 Magnum is really it. On another program, what we'll do, we'll run some live fire tests. I asked Bill Sadler, our editor here at the studio, I neglected to mention to him if his walls are pretty soundproofed. If we let one of these go off, I imagine that everyone in the shopping center around us here would come down and see what the problem was. Anyway, The 44 Magnum is really a bit much for home defense. One, we've run penetration tests before on our program on showing just how much a 44 Magnum would penetrate. When it's downloaded with 44 Specials, it's an excellent home defense gun, but in the full Magnum chamberings, it really ought to be a more hunting type handgun, one that can be used for silhouette shooting or something at longer ranges, because the 44 Magnum in this particular gun is good out to say 100 or so yards in effectiveness on game. As far as hunting with the 357, personally, I feel like the 357 is a little bit light for deer. Excellent varmint type gun. I wouldn't shoot a deer at over 50 yards, and I certainly be real careful about which bullet weight that I used. The 41 of these three particular handguns we're looking at the moment, this particular 41, in fact, is the most accurate revolver that I own. This particular gun will put 6 shots into an inch from a rest, of course, at 25 yards, and I just can't manage to do that with any other revolver that I own. But this 41, this Model 57, will do it. So they're all excellent guns. The 41 will do just about everything with full powered loads that the 44 will. You do have the option with the 44 Magnum of going to up to 300 grain bullet weights, which you don't have for the 41. But to tell you the truth, friends, I think that the 41 deserves a whole lot more attention than it normally gets. And really, if someone asked me about what's the best handgun caliber of all of them, if I could only have one, I believe it would be, in fact, a 41 Magnum, because it will do so many things so well. So anyway, we've touched on a few things here that I feel like were important, and we do get a lot of mail about different calibers, different chamberings, and this gives those of us that are new to shooting out there just a basic idea, very basic of course, but about the three main Magnum handgun calibers. On another program, we'll do some live fire exercises and let you look at those, but for now, my pick of the three is the 41.
Awesome firepower, precision rifle skills. That's what you'll find along with lots more in these two great new videos, Marine Corps Firepower and Marine Corps Silent Drill Team. See an actual firepower demonstration of the latest Marine Corps weapons of the infantry, including the M220 Echo Tow missile system, grenade launchers, mortars, and lots more. Plus the Marine Corps Silent Drill Team, an incredible display of precision rifle handling skills by the most respected and admired rifle squad in the world. Two great new videos for one low price, just $19.95 through this special TV offer. Marine Corps Firepower and Marine Corps Silent Drill Team. Two videos for the price of one. Call and order yours right now.
Call toll free with your credit card ready, 1-800-942-8273. By ordering today, you'll receive this 32-page gun video catalog absolutely free. So order now, 1-800-942-8273. Call now.
Friends, the Shooting Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or television station. Now, friends, what you're seeing is one of the craft booths at the 1993 End of Trail match. And of course, they have all kinds of things going on out there. Literally, it's an Old West celebration, I suppose, would be one way of saying it. And we weren't able to attend because we had to be at the NRA convention in Nashville. But our good friend Lenny McGill with Mail Order Video took some pictures out there for us. And we think that you folks will enjoy seeing some of the things that go on at the End of Trail match. Now, here's a young lady who, let me tell you what, she qualifies darn near as Annie Oakley. So let's watch her shoot this particular stage. Of course, she's going to come through the saloon doors there. She has her double-barrel shotgun. And she's going to get her Winchester rifle. Oop, got a little jam there, nothing major. And listen to that steel ring out there. She's shooting steel targets at a rapid pace. Most impressive. All right, let's see this scene with this same young lady shooting. Boy, she's fast.
Okay, shooter ready? Yeah, no splatter, no ring, no nothing.
And seeing those steel targets ring and fall, these matches are so much fun. Of course, you can see the timer in the background there. Boy. Talk about making a great pioneer woman. Talk about protecting the household when the man was away. And now, friends, we have our shooter in an old mining car on rails there. I tell you what, he's doing pretty darn good. You can see just how much fun that these matches are. People dress up in the old Western costumes. Everybody has a name that is an alias, certainly for the match. You can call these weapons antiquated if you like, but we're seeing some pretty fancy shooting for some of these folks.
35-32 plus 1.
Now you see this lady shooting these targets from horseback. They're shooting blanks for the balloons, I'm sure. Looks like great fun. First trick is find a horse and it's still under gunfire. Now watch this shooter.
I got the bird there. Yeah, that was great. Why isn't it coming out? The wind blows, hangs up on the log.
Tell you what, it looks pretty smoky to me.
3806.
Stand by.
Man, this looks a lot like Bob Munden. I don't know for sure if that's him, but how rapidly and accurately he is shooting. My goodness. Bob and Becky Munden normally are at these events. And I think that's Bob. From how rapidly. I must have had a miss then. And of course they provide some nighttime entertainment for the folks. Here we have a live band having a Western style dance. And of course we need our shot of Boot Hill here. If you look real close you can see that some of these makeshift graves, which are not real by the way, have the old boot sticking right out of the end. So, and let's see, we've got another stage in the match here. Some of these folks go to great lengths on costuming, and people who put the match on, the End of Trail Single Action Shooting Society is really to be commended for their efforts here. And we hope to make next year's End of Trail match. We certainly hope we can, because it's such great fun and we'll have a great time doing it. I know you folks will enjoy seeing it. Our thanks to our good friend Lenny McGill for taking these photos for us.
Friends, we hope you're enjoying the program so far today. We do have some really neat stuff yet to come on today's shooting show. But right now, we'd like to show you our new music video, and this is something that so many of us around the project have worked so very hard on. We've had such a great commentary from last week, the people that wrote to us, people that called us on telling us how they enjoyed it. And just stand by, because after the video is through playing, we're going to tell you some things that you can do at home to help us here at the shooting show. So again, it's called Down to You and Me. Hope you enjoy it.
I'm proud to be an American, thank God our country's strong. But some time ago, you know, it occurred to me, there's something going wrong. My granddad fought against tyranny so we could all be free. I'm afraid, my friends, his fight has passed. Down to you and me, down to you and me. We got people telling us what to do, who don't even know our name. We're just a number on some little card, and I think that's a shame. If George and Abe could see us now, bet they'd both agree this is not exactly what they had in mind. The land of liberty, sweet land of liberty. Oh, I love to hear my Harley run. I like being free to live out my dreams, and I want to have a little fun. I want to hold on to what we got, from sea to shining sea. I'm afraid, my friend, the fight has passed. Down to you and me, oh, down to you and me. We got politicians and bureaucrats all telling us what to do. And they don't seem at all concerned about what they put us through. They tax and spend like there's no end, throw it all away. Just keep in mind there'll come a time when nobody's left to pay. Well, nobody's left to pay. There's people that wanna lock us up just to keep us away from harm. They want a police state to give us orders, but they can get us unarmed. There's folks that say they know the truth, well, they saw it on TV. We got some boys on Capitol Hill, don't wanna have us free. No, they don't wanna have us free. My Harley run. I like being free to live out my dreams, and I want to have a little fun. I want to hold on to what we've got, from sea to shining sea. I'm afraid, my friends, the fight has passed. Down to you and me, well, down to you and me.
Friends, we hope you enjoyed watching our video. We certainly enjoyed making it. It took a long time, and we went to an awful lot of trouble. We had so much help. We do appreciate everyone that helped on it. A lot of you out there have written to us, you've called us, you've asked us, well, what can we do to help the shooting show? Well, I'm about to tell you. What we need you folks at home to do is please call your local radio station and ask them to play their new copy of Down to You and Me by yours truly, Johnny Rowland. Now, what this will do, the more airplay we get on our new song out there on radio, will generate money to help us here on this project. because it's very expensive. Doing what we do every week by running a national broadcast, it is extremely expensive, and we need all the help we can get. And certainly the airplay, the times this played on radio, the publishing royalties, the things that come with that will help our program. It'll help ensure that we stay on the air. We think our message on this video is so extremely important. We not only talk about our rights as shooters, we talk about a lot of other endangered things in our American society, such as loss of the family, because this is something that is a huge problem all across America. Friends, we need your help. The Shootin' Show wants you, like the poster from Uncle Sam used to say. Please call your local radio station and ask them to play Down to You and Me by yours truly, Johnny Rowland. It will be on the compilation CD, the Tennessee Star Tracks, and it's 3 S's, Sizzling Summer Singles 2. So that's where they'll find our song. Now then, there's another call that you folks can make, in fact 2 more calls. Please call Country Music Television in Nashville, and that number is area 615-871-5830. Please write this down now. Country Music Television, CMT, area 615-871-5830. And the other call we need to make is to the Nashville Network. And that number is area 615-883-7000. Now, friends, please ask whoever answers the phone up there, ask them to play our video Down to You and Me by yours truly, Johnny Rowland. Again, the Nashville Network number, area 615-883-7000. It is so important. It will help our whole project. Certainly we will get some results from this. Now then, friends, if you would like to buy a copy of our video, we have them on sale for $17.95, and you can get those from the Shootin' Show Incorporated, 554 Kings Highway here in Shreveport, Louisiana. Our zip code is 71104. We also have our music cassette tape. It has 10 of my songs on there with me singing, which we hope you folks like, including our new song, Down to You and Me. And that is, of course, $9.95. You can get that by writing, send a check or money order to the Shootin' Show, 554 Kings Highway, Shreveport, Louisiana. That zip is 71104. Remember, $17.95 for the video. It's $9.95 for the cassette tape. Now, friends, we need your help. If you can make any of these calls, we really would appreciate it. It'll certainly help our project. It'll help what we're doing. So we hope that we're going to have a little success with this. We can all use it.
All right, people, the voters are screaming about violent crime. What are we going to tell them?
How about the truth? We're not keeping violent criminals in prison.
Sir, 35 states are under court order to release criminals.
The average criminal set free will commit 187 more crimes a year.
We're out of prison space.
We gotta make more. Good people are getting hurt bad.
With the likelihood of arrest and conviction, a murderer will spend 1.8 years in prison.
Yeah, and a rapist a couple of months.
I'm not in the prison building business.
We're in the re-election business.
Thank you.
Listen, just a handful of repeat offenders commit most violent crimes.
We could just stop letting them go.
Look, stop giving me the facts and start giving me headlines.
How about another gun control law?
Yeah, we've already got 20,000 of them.
It just don't work.
So my gun control plan to restrict firearm sales to citizens will break the back of violent crime and rid our streets of violent criminals. Do we have any questions?
Don't let politicians get away with murder. Join the NRA.
Friends, the Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or television station.
Hi, I'm Bill McIntyre with another update from Capitol Hill here at National Rifle Association headquarters in Washington, D.C. Sitting beside me is the director for the NRA's Women's Issues and Information Division, Liz Swayze. Liz, can you tell us a little bit about the NRA's Women's Issues and Information Division? It's no question that more and more women are becoming gun owners across the United States. How is NRA responding?
Well, actually, NRA responded precisely by forming the Office of Women's Issues and Information. There are about 17 million women out there now who own guns. They need the services and the resources and the programs that NRA can provide. But what we found was that not all women were aware of the many valuable things that NRA has to offer. So the purpose of Women's Issues is to make women aware of those things.
Well, what kind of things do you have to offer? Suppose there's a new female gun owner out there and she calls the NRA. What can she expect from your division?
Well, actually, a lot of the calls we get truly begin with, I can't believe I'm calling the NRA, but I'm considering the purchase of a firearm and I really don't know where to get information. In that instance, we'll send the woman out information to help her make her own informed decision about what type of firearm is right for her. We often get questions about, well, you know, I am seriously considering owning a firearm, but I'm concerned because I have a 3-year-old. How am I going to keep the gun, you know, safely in the home with the child? We've got information we send out about that. Some women, actually, hunting is one of the 2 fastest growing sports among women, and we get a lot of calls saying, I'm interested, I think, in doing this. Can you help me? Can you lead me to some right sources? And we can provide information on that as well. Basically, through our Women's Information Service, we meet the needs of women gun owners. Of course, most of them are buying them in response to crime. Last year, we linked over 100,000 women up with instructors in their hometown so they could take personal protection courses.
Well, there's no doubt that with the right comes the responsibility, and it's unfortunate that crime is motivating some women to purchase firearms for their protection, but it's good news as well that they're calling the NRA to get the facts and figures on how to do this safely and efficiently. I know, of course, there's a lot of anti-gun legislation out there, and I would imagine that women are more and more being targeted for their support for and against. When it comes to anti-gun legislation, and it does involve women and the issue of firearms, how does that fall into play?
Well, you're right. There is an awful lot of, obviously, an awful lot of anti-gun legislation out there, and it often becomes such an emotional issue that people will try to exploit women in these battles. What we find is that if we can marshal the resources of women who support our position, this can be incredibly effective. One of our volunteers recently collected the signatures of over 3,000 women who supported the concealed carry law in Texas. Concealed carry is of particular importance as a legislative issue to women because the vast majority of crimes committed against women are committed outside of their home. Now, I think very few people would deny that women have a right to self-defense within their homes, but what concealed carry tries to do is say, okay, if you have that right within your home, certainly you have it outside your home where you're much more likely to be attacked in the first place. So concealed carry and waiting periods and a number of issues are of particular importance to women.
What are you finding after women do call you and do get in contact with you? Are they necessarily NRA members to begin with? Do they become NRA members? What's their finding after they've built a relationship with the NRA?
Basically, they're surprised that we don't have 2 heads. They're surprised that we're women just like them. In fact, there have been a number of programs we've been involved with where the press will then quote some of the participants, and I can't tell you how many times that's what the women say. Gee, these are people just like me. I had no idea. The women who call us definitely are not members. This is a whole new group of people that we're reaching. Much of what we do at Women's Issues, in fact, is outreach. We have a staff of 4, and at any time, half of us are on the road reaching women, professional women's groups and civic groups, you name it, we're reaching them.
All right, and if somebody wants to get in touch with NRA's Women's Issues and Information, how do they do so, and what can they expect?
Well, all they need to do is give us a call. The number is area 202-828-6224, and we'll help them in every way possible.
All right, Liz Swayze, Director, NRA Women's Issues and Information. That's all for this week. I'll see you again next week. I'm Bill McIntyre with another update from Washington, D.C. here at National Rifle Association headquarters.
And now, friends, let's rejoin our associate producer, Kurt Vickers, and his camera at the National Tactical Invitational match recently in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, or in fact just outside Harrisburg. We had so much good comment from last week
on the first part of this match. And remember, these people you're watching shoot this match have the night style glasses on. It's extremely dark when they're going through the shooting stages, and they're primarily federal, state, and local law enforcement people. So let's watch another couple of stages at the National Tactical Invitational match.
We've come up the trail a little bit, and off on our left-hand side is another target that's laying down, but that will jump up to surprise the next shooter who's coming through here.
There's a target laying on the ground right here that pops up directly in front of you, comes right up in your face.
Yeah, I can see where that would certainly catch you off guard. Takes a cool hand to negotiate this.
And then in the back, there's one that will be continually running back and forth across the back of the property line.
Okay. Well, we'll see if maybe we can follow behind someone and see how this operates. Okay, we have a contestant who's picked a double barrel shot.
It's not going to move. These shooters are very unfamiliar with these particular weapons. That one has 2 triggers, and he doesn't realize it.
Also, he's got the night goggles on too, right?
Oh, yes.
So that makes it even harder to see what you're doing. There he goes. I think we see the disadvantage of a double barrel shotgun. It looks great in the old westerns, but 2 shots go awful fast, and then you have to fumble to reload.
Once he's finished shooting up his ammunition with that shotgun, he must either keep the gun with him or disable it in some way. He may not lay it down.
I think he got that one. Let's see if I'm following him up the trail a little bit here. Okay. Just make out the target. I'm going to follow up behind him here, try not to fall on the slippery ground. And there's our moving target in the back. He's used up his 5 shots, so he now has to switch to his handgun. The range officer just tells him that all targets are not visible. He doesn't have to keep moving. Again, as we said, safety is a prime concern here. These are association-owned shotguns. They're not personal shotguns, so everybody's unfamiliar with them. And that's another reason for making sure that everything is kept safe. The range officer on the driving portion of the target is explaining the way this setup works to a bunch of shooters who are eagerly awaiting their chance to hit the pepper poppers.
There are 4 targets on each side. Okay.
We give them a general briefing of the setup of the scenario. However, they get no walkthrough. It's pretty much a surprise.
No practice runs.
No practice runs. Especially the indoor stages. They don't even get to see the layout until they're actually in it.
The only stage where you can do this, if you're shooting.
Can't emphasize enough that safety is a primary concern here, although they do try and make the scenarios as realistic as possible.
Shooting a double column gun.
These are not professional competitors here, so we're not looking at people running through these courses with $3,000 race guns. We're talking about the average shooter is Johnny in IR or your local law enforcement official. These scenarios are definitely of benefit to them because they may have to face these situations in real life. And I'd certainly like to know that I have a tactical grasp of what's going on beforehand, and I have to find it out on the street. So we may watch 1 or 2 more of these people go through this target to give you an appreciation for it. Again, I would like to say that the people who are engaging in this are all wearing dark DeSantis night sunglasses. What this does is it simulates a dusk or a dark situation. These can be purchased directly from DeSantis by requesting their catalog. As you know, the actual majority of law enforcement confrontations do take place either at dusk or in the evenings. So most of us train in the daylight with the bright sun or in indoor ranges that are well lit. And if that's the case, these glasses will certainly help you simulate the real thing. Makes it a little tougher to find your ammunition, to reload a revolver if you don't have a speed loader, or even if you do. And it makes it difficult also with an automatic to make sure that you grab your magazine in the same way every time and insert it into the gun the same way every time. The time to fumble is here, not in real life. That's someone going through the other course we just looked at, obviously a shotgun shot. So we'll come back to this in just a few seconds. The range officer who is going to be judging this exercise is the person driving the vehicle. As you can see, we have a couple of targets right here that we have to engage right off the bat. So here we go for another perspective of this range of fire. He's engaging the one IPSC target from the car. He'll now be getting out of the car after he neutralizes that target. That sounded like a target falling. I think he's being given some additional safety instructions before he gets out of the vehicle to move to the next course of fire. As we described earlier, you're standing on a 2x4, which doesn't exactly give you the best balance in the world. There is a rope there to hold on to, but if you are able to maintain your balance, of course two-handed shooting is always a bigger benefit. Now, as you see, the range officer just ran out there because the person was not being protected by the wall, and we do worry about lead splattering from these steel targets. Remember again, what you're seeing here is regular light. The people have dark goggles on, can barely see, and in fact, as we were going through the different courses of fire, people were leading them around, especially in the woods portion. It gets so dark you can't see where you're walking, and not only don't we want a gun accident, we don't want somebody falling and breaking anything either.
Those pepper poppers and the skipper targets are ordinarily painted black or blue. We had to paint them because you couldn't see them from the car. You couldn't see them at all with those goggles.
With the goggles, yeah.
Right here? Yeah. Okay, then up on the hill.
Fun. As you can see, everybody seems to be having a good time out here. We do have the information on the Tactical Shooting Association, which we'll put on the screen in just a few seconds. You can receive information about the Tactical Shooting Association by contacting Mr. Gotchenauer, Suite 2512, 301 Chestnut Street, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania 17101, or by calling 717-233-0402. Those law enforcement officials or private citizens who desire the ultimate in training live fire, I'd strongly encourage you to contact them.
Now, friends, we want to recognize a company that had a product booth at the NTI match, and this is Tetragun. It is supposed to be one of the finest gun lubricants that money can buy. It has a process by which the chemicals penetrate the surface of the metal. They function in extreme temperature variations, so you might want to get some information on this. That's Tetragun, T-E-T-R-A-G-U-N, Tetragun. You can write to them at 1812 Margaret Avenue in Annapolis, Maryland. That zip code is 21401. Or you can call them at area 410-268-6451. And you can even place an order by fax. That fax number is area 410-268-8377. Now, friends, don't go away. The Shooting Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
Now, friends, we want to tell you about some very fine people here in Shreveport at Louisa's Limousines. They have a couple of the prettiest limousines that you ever saw. And if you're anywhere in the Arklatex area and you have the needs of a limousine, say for weddings, birthdays, anniversaries to the airport, parties, proms, shopping sprees that night out, how about the baby's first ride, or concerts, or corporate needs, or even the racetrack needs locally here at Louisiana Downs, or in fact just for funds, give them a call. That's Louisa's Limousines, area 318-635-8967. Now, friends, for the absolute best in monthly shooting magazines, turn to Shooting Times, with all sorts of excellent features on handguns, rifles, shotguns, and black powder by some of your favorite gun writers such as Dick Metcalf and Rick Jameson and Bill Jordan, just to name a few. Each month you'll find interesting articles on guns, shooting, reloading, and new products in the firearms industry, along with information on pending legislation of interest to all gun owners. For subscription information, call 1-800-727-4353. Shooting Times, the best there is.
Now, friends, the next gun we're going to look at today is the Ruger Mini 30. And for those of you, of course, you see in our photograph, it as compared to the Mini 14, these are two very similar guns, as you can tell, but one is in the 223, certainly the Mini 14's in the 223 Remington, or the 5.56 military loading, and the other gun is in the 7.6239, which has been the Russian and many of the communist country their military loadings for many years now. And believe it or not, the two cartridges are more similar in size than we might realize. And let's take the magazines. These guns have empty chambers. We'll take the magazines out, and we'll let you look at the two cartridges in comparison to each other. Now then, friends, you can see the cartridge on your right, which is the 223 Remington, and the cartridge on your left is the 7.6239. They're closer. In fact, they're almost the same length, which would certainly ease in helping the same size gun take the both cartridges, for that matter. And the Mini 30 is just a slightly larger version. Of course, you can see the base on the 7.6239 or 30 Russian is a little fatter. It's a little bit bigger. The 223 Remington typically carries a 55 or so grain bullet running at about 3,150 feet per second, depending on the ammunition, of course. The 7.6239 typically takes about a 122, 23, 24 grain bullet in that weight range, and it moves at about 2,300 feet per second. So in velocity, is considerably behind the 223 Remington, but again, with the pressure difference between the two cartridges, you can still put the 7.62 by 39 in a carbine type gun, and with all due safety. Now, friends, as you can see, of course, we'll double check, this is a very handy size carbine. I'm going to prefer to call it that because they're not very large. Certainly those of you who are familiar with the Mini 14 know that it is certainly not a very large gun. And we had run some accuracy tests some time ago with a Mini 30 that was scope mounted, and we got it with high quality ammunition to shoot into about 2 3/4 inches for 5 shots at 100 yards, which typically they're comparable to your Model 94 Winchester as far as accuracy goes. Some may be a little better, some may be a little worse, but they're in that range of accuracy. These are better cartridges, better guns for deer hunting, certainly, than any 223, in my opinion anyway, because out at about 75 or so yards, the ballistics, the 7.6239 is not quite as strong a cartridge at the muzzle as the 30-30, but due to the makeup or the aerodynamic qualities of the bullet, when you get out to about 100 yards, the aerodynamics start to take over, and it roughly is the equivalent of a 30-30 out at 100 yards. Now, these are not 200 and 300 yard deer cartridges or big game cartridges, certainly not. This is a medium game cartridge, also an excellent varmint cartridge. Up close, you don't have a lot of recoil, but they're good out, say, just about like a 30-30, out to about 150 yards. But they are very fine functioning little guns. If you already have a Mini 14, well, you'll be very comfortable because as far as the way the action works, it's the same as a Mini 14, a ranch rifle. And it just depends on what you like, of course. But these are very fine, fun guns. They're just fun. Plinkers are certainly fun to have. You can get extended magazines. These guns come with a 5-round magazine, but there are a couple of companies that make extended magazines for the Mini 30, and believe me, it would become a very fine defensive or home defense gun with one of the longer magazine capacities, or for that matter, the 5-rounders change very quickly, and they're very, very reliable. In fact, of course, this is the same cartridge that the AK-47 and the Chinese SKS or Russian SKS shoot, but the mechanism is entirely different. And for soft-nosed cartridges, now I've seen some of the AKs and SKSs that weren't completely reliable with the soft-nosed cartridges, which certainly we have to consider them first for hunting, of course, and for any kind of home defense, I would much prefer the soft-nosed cartridge. Now that's one advantage that the Mini 30 has. It will feed most cartridge profiles certainly better than the military type guns. This gun has a little more sporting flavor to it, certainly than a lot of the surplus military guns. Well, let me check my hearing protection, and let's let you look at it in shooting in recoil as compared to the Mini 14 and 223. Put our magazine in, pull that bolt handle all the way back and let it go in our safety zone. Now then, let's let you look at it when we shoot it as compared. We're going to shoot the Mini 14 in just a moment. Have our target out here, like so. And we had 4 shots in that magazine. I tell you what, you can see it has a definite push, but it doesn't hurt you. It's not a real sharp recoil impulse, and certainly would be a good deer gun for women or people of smaller stature, or certainly a good gun to start off with. Be an excellent woods gun for all kinds of animals, including our wild hogs here in Louisiana. Okay, friends, let's compare the recoil of our Mini 30, as you saw me shoot it a moment ago 4 times, to our Mini 14 and 223. And one of the things I will say, the 223 is a considerably louder cartridge, but certainly I don't think it would give any of us any problems if we have proper hearing protection. Well, let's shoot our Mini 14 at our target out here. Pull the bolt handle back, load it, put my hearing protection in real good. Okay, let's take about 4 fairly rapid shots with it. So you see, there's not a whole heck of a lot of difference between the two of them. The Mini 30 will have a little bit more recoil. It's not quite as sharp as the standard Mini 14 and 223. But let's go ahead and unload our Mini 14. And there we go. So we'll be safe and double check it. I'll tell you what, friends, whether the Mini 14 or Mini 30, if you already have a Mini 14, the Mini 30 would certainly be a good choice because you'll be completely familiar with how the gun operates and certainly how it functions. So it's just up to you, but the Mini 30s typically are very fine little guns, and it just depends on, say, if you want a varmint rifle in the 223 and you intend to hunt deer and maybe some animals in that class with the 7.62 by 39, well, the Mini 30 is certainly a reasonable choice.
Now, friends, of course, we're just looking at the Mini 14 and also the Mini 30. In fact, the feature on the Mini 30 as compared to the Mini 14. And, of course, these guns have extended magazines available for them. Now, friends, we're in danger of losing not only the extended magazines, but also the semi-automatic guns. And trust me on this one, this is only a stepping stone toward getting or eliminating all the guns that we as U.S. citizens can actually own. Now, our strength lies in the Congress. You can write your senator or your representative, and here's how.
You can put the honorable whether they deserve it or not. In fact, we're not here to discuss semantics. The honorable, whoever your senator or representative is, the U.S. Capitol, House, or Senate in Washington, D.C., and for the House of Representatives, that zip code is 20515. For the Senate, that zip code is 20510. Now then, a lot of people out there don't know who their representative is. Well, here's how you can find out. You can call area 202-224-3121. You can give them your zip code, and then they can tell you who your representative is. Now, friends, we need to get these letters out to these people because they have to know how we think. We're faced with a multitude of anti-gun legislation that's coming up not only on the local level but on the federal level. And you know that our current White House individual is not on our side as gun owners. So this is what we've got to do. We've got to get those letters off to these people, and here's how to do it. Friends, we want to remind you about our good friends at Shotgun News, Post Office Box 669, Hastings, Nebraska. That zip code is 68902. That phone number is area 402-463-4589. Shotgun News, the trading post for anything that shoots. 3 big issues monthly. MasterCard or Visa subscriptions only. 1-800-345-6923. And for all your shooting needs in the Arklatex, come to Britton's at 517 Louisiana Avenue in Shreveport. Now with another location also in Shreveport on Hollywood. That's Britton's, area 318-221-4131. Friends, we hope you've enjoyed this edition of The Shootin' Show. We look forward to seeing you next week. Please remember to call your local radio station. Ask them to play our new song, Down to You and Me, by yours truly, Johnny Rowland. It is on the Sizzling Summer Singles 2 CD. They should have them by now. Please do that for us if you will. Also, please call Country Music Television in Nashville and also TNN and ask them to play our video. Look forward to seeing you next week on another Shootin' Show.